How you doing today? Good? Not bad? Hopefully you got up on the right side of the bed. I wanted to share something that happened to my wife and I. More exact, it actually happened to me. It affected me more than it affected my wife because an airport lost my wheelchair. Now, I don't know why it is or how come they would lose a wheelchair, a piece of handicap equipment that a handicapped person needs. You know? I mean, seriously? A few things that a airport should never ever lose is a gun, a wheelchair, a person, right? Those are a few things that should never get lost. Am I right or wrong here? Because I feel I'm right here. My wife and I went on vacation and everything went good. I mean, we took off and we did a connecting flight, I think. And, we had a nice time and we were on our way back and we had a connecting flight. Well, this connecting flight was running late. So that, of course, makes everything else run late, right? If you get onto a plane that's late at the gate, if you got a connecting flight, you're going to be late at that gate too, right? So we were late getting on the plane because the plane, for whatever reason, whatever happened, we couldn't board it until, an hour later or whatever. And it wasn't a long wait, but when you have a connecting flight, that does make a difference. And the airport that we had to make the transfer at was a big airport, big enough that you had, trolleys that would get you from gate to gate. If they were far enough apart, you could, they knew what was going on at the airport to get you from gate to gate, right? So they have a trolley for all the handicapped people, and whoever else, wants to use it, they can. But, for the most part, it's for people that are running late or in my situation where I need a wheelchair, right? Now, I don't know how many people used the trolleys to get back and forth, but my wife and I definitely did, to get from gate to gate. Well, we get from gate to gate and we get dropped off at the new gate that's on the other side of the airport. And, they're like, hey, here's some water, here's some snacks, sorry about the inconvenience, blah, blah, blah. We're waiting to get on the plane. We eventually get on the plane and we get back home to the airport it's not the city that we live in, but it's the closest big airport to where we live, right? So we get there and we get off and we go to get off the airplane, and what's not there is my wheelchair. They lose my wheelchair. Now, how does an airport lose a piece of handicap equipment? To me, that's just as bad as them losing a gun or a child or a person. How do you do that? How do you lose that? That don't even make any sense. So we get me down to the, entrance where all the counters are at and information and all that stuff goes on, right? So we get up over to the, where a manager would be or, a supervisor or whatever would be, because we want to know where my wheelchair's at. How do you lose a wheelchair? I need this wheelchair. I can't get around without one. And you're losing my personal wheelchair, right? That's a problem. And so I start talking to this lady and I'm upset, I'm upset that they lost my wheelchair. Maybe not her exactly, but the airport. They're supposed to be on top of this. Airports shouldn't be losing handicap equipment. So I'm upset. And I'm talking to this lady. And eventually this other lady comes up. And she kind of like dismisses who I'm talking to. And she steps in. So clearly she's the head honcho, right? She's who's in charge, right? So it's, I'm talking to her, I'm upset, and I'm explaining myself, and her reaction to me being upset that the airport lost my handicap equipment, lost my wheelchair, is you're getting too upset. I'm going to call the cops on you. So to do me a favor, because I'm upset that they lost my handicap equipment, they're going to call the cops on me and have me arrested because I'm upset. And I'm like, well, call the cops. I don't care. You're going to call the cops because I'm upset that you lost my wheelchair. And she's like, well, I didn't do nothing. I said, this is ridiculous. You're splitting hairs. You know what I mean. You guys as a whole should not be losing this type of stuff. Handicap equipment, any kind of aid that a person needs for their health, or like a CPAP machine. I mean, how upset would you be if you were using a CPAP machine and in an airport would lose it? Of course you're going to be upset. That's what you need. You need that, right? You use that every night. Well, wheelchair, as of any handicap equipment, if it gets lost and it's not your fault, it's a problem. So she blames me for it. Somehow it's my fault that they lost my wheelchair and I get blamed on it for it. And they're going to call the cops on me because I'm upset over the fact that they lost my wheelchair. Now, I did end up getting it 2 days later that they found it. And eventually I ended up getting it back. But are you serious? I mean, how come when you're upset at somebody at an airport, they get mad at you and somehow blame you for them losing your handicap equipment, and then to just prove their point, they're going to call the cops on you and have you arrested because you're upset over the fact that they lost your wheelchair? I mean, seriously? What the hell's wrong with people? That's what I want to know. Where do people get the training to be a manager if they don't know how to de-escalate an issue? And that isn't, we're going to call the cops on you and have you arrested because what you're doing is worse than what we did to you. Seriously? It doesn't even make any sense, does it? I mean, explain this to me, please, because I'm kind of confused. So, that's how our vacation went. So until next time.